Here's part 3 of my 2011 World Championship deck opening. So first two vids I showed the junior and senior division winners, and for the last two I'll be showing the first and second place in Masters division, which completes the 2011 World Championship collection. So pretty cool. I'm going to go with second place's Ross Cawthorn's The Truth. This is my favorite deck of all the four that I'll be showing, so I considered waiting until last to show this one, but I think I'll kind of go in order just as far as, that's why I was kind of going in divisions, juniors, seniors, masters, and might as well keep it up and go with the second place division champion rather than the first. So give me a minute to open the box, and it's about 7 in the morning, so everyone's starting to wake up, get ready for work. Alright, so here we go. Really awesome Vileplume on the back, because that really is the star of this deck, is that trainer lock. Yeah, this deck just was not expected at all. So what I showed in the first video, part 1, was I really went in depth on this book. I went through every single page, really gave a good show. So I'm not going to do this in this vid as well, just because if you really want to see it, just go check out the first vid. But I think it's really cool. It's got the top 4 players from each division, their deck lists, what they nicknamed their deck lists, their age, country, interesting facts, and as well as interesting facts about just a little information about themselves, which it's always cool reading a little bio of the players. So let's pop this open. And we've got Ross Cawthorn has an awesome blue box. And that's one thing I didn't notice in either of the other decks. No Cleffa. That is really odd. Especially considering at Worlds you were still seeing a lot of decks running multiple Cleffa. Right now you're seeing maybe one in a deck. Yeah, just a few months ago you were seeing multiples. So, but that just kind of shows you even more what really takes it, what it takes to be number one. Little different. So, card, 2 Vileplume, and they kind of didn't put these in order, so I'll just kind of go with one stack, and if we find an incomplete kind of set, we'll find the other cards. So, 1 Cleffa, 3 Oddish, 2 Gloom, and then there's the 2 Vileplume, 2 Reuniclus, 2 Duosion, 3 Solosis, 2 Donphan Prime, 2 Phanpy, here we go, 1 Chansey, 1 Blissey, Tropical Beach, which this is actually the promo you got for going to Worlds, and it works great in Trainer Lock if you're not quite set up, because once you get your Vileplume up, typically things slow down for everyone, including yourself, so you can easily just use Tropical Beach to boost your hand size a little bit. So it was really cool that he added that in. Zekrom, 2 of them, and 2 Pichu. So I'll go through the trainers and supporters, and then I'll kind of explain. I think most of you know how this deck works, but I know some of the newer players probably don't. So we've got 2 Seeker. That's pretty much to reuse your Blissey Primes, although I guess he could use it to pick up a Zekrom with a bunch of damage on it, but it's mainly for the Blissey. Only 3 Collector, but that is because he's got 2 Pichu, which fills your bench up as its attack. So ideally, you'd love to start a Pichu, because that's pretty much your collector. 4 Twins, because he realizes that with Vileplume, he's going to be moving slow. He's probably going to be losing some of those babies to prizes from Yanmega, so puts in a full Twins engine to speed things up a bit. 1 Copycat, 1 Professor Oak's New Theory, and I always forget about this part, the Suicune Entei Legend, just 1 legend piece, 3 rare candy, and while he could use that on Reuniclus, typically you see this, the 3 rare candy and the 3 communication, the only trainers in the deck, and that's to help speed up the Vileplume getting that out. Once Vileplume's up, these cards are worthless. But that's also why you have 4 Sage. You can easily Sage to get rid of those extra trainers in the deck, as well as to get what you want. And then we've got a nice, huge variety of energy. We've got 4 Rainbow, and that's because we have so many different types in this deck. You really need a full line of Rainbow. 3 DCE, again, you're going to be seeing this mainly in Zekrom, but really this could be used for anything, especially just as a retreat cost. Oh, I'm sorry, there's 4 DCE. 2 Fighting Energy for Donphan, and 1 Fire Energy for that Suicune NT Legend if he actually decides to use Bursting Inferno. So I guess now I'll kind of describe a little bit as far as my understanding of how this deck works, because a lot of you are probably looking at this and saying, what is this concoction? Many of you are also probably saying, I've heard of that deck, it's pretty cool. So you've got your awesome starters, you've got the Cleffa, and you got the Pichu. Ideally, you want to use Pichu to get your bench filled up pretty fast so you can get your Vileplume out fast, but you never know when you're going to need Cleffa to get a fresh hand or stall a little bit. So those are the babies in the deck. Vileplume is the first thing you want to get out. This is really what's going to slow down your opponent, is them not being able to use any trainers. And that's really what you're going to rely on. This is typically a fairly slow deck. And that's not a bad thing. You know, you lock up their trainers and then you just start working with the damage. So, yeah, there's really not a next. It just kind of happens to be whatever you have. The Reuniclus is your other Stage 2 Pokemon. Pretty big deal, because Reuniclus is going to allow you to move around damage on the field. This is huge because Donphan damages its bench when it does Earthquake, so that's going to put 10 everywhere. And then what he can do is easily move them to a Zekrom, and for DCE, he can easily move his damage around onto a Zekrom to be able to have 120 damage on Zekrom and Outrage for 140. Yeah, they're probably going to return the KO, but at the same time, that takes a lot of energy off the field, and that's really going to be helpful for taking out a lot of your heavy hitters in other decks. Magnezone's, not quite Ability Emblor, but pretty close. And just a lot of other big cards can easily be taken out with a fully loaded Zekrom. But Blissey Prime is also great for that as well, because it also serves as your healing factor. As when Blissey Prime is played down, you get to remove all damage counters from all of your Pokemon and then discard the energy attached to them. So what you can do with Reuniclus is arrange it so that all the energy is on Pokemon that don't have energy cards on them. Use Blissey and take it all off. And then finally, we have the Suicune Entei Legend. Donphan is a great attacker, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of bulky, a little slow to get up for that second attack, and you don't always want to be doing damage to your own bench. Zekrom is a great attacker as well, but again, it does hurt itself, and that's assuming that you have the ability to get that much damage onto Zekrom. So he adds in a 1/1 line of Suicune Entei Legend as a nice hitter. Torrent Blade actually acts as a sniper. You have to return 2 water energy to your hand, so that's kind of a bummer, but it does allow you to snipe anything on the field. It also has Bursting Inferno, which burns the opponent, as well as doing 80, and you don't have to discard anything. This is another reason the DCE comes in handy, is pretty much for Bursting Inferno. I honestly don't know how many times he used Torrent Blade. I'm thinking it was pretty much just for Bursting Inferno. So that's kind of how this deck works. It takes a lot of skill to run something as different as this, but I kind of like that he did, because now a lot of players are thinking outside of the box for this tournament season, and we're seeing a lot of Ross. A lot of time the deck is just called the Ross deck, so we're seeing a lot of variations of this, and I think that's really cool. It gives it makes Pokemon more interesting when you see a deck like this. So this is my favorite deck of Worlds 2011, obviously. And then next up in the last vid, we'll be showing you, I'll be showing you what came in first place in the Masters Division.